Thomas John here, reaching out to you from the den of the Views and Facts podcast. Do you have a small business, perhaps an advertisement or message to get out? If you do, we would love for you to become a supporting advertiser of the show or make a donation. Leave us a comment on Facebook at Views and Facts, and we look forward to starting a partnership. Enjoy the show. Your Views, My Facts, begins in 3, 2, 1.
How's it going, everyone? This is Your Views, My Facts. I'm one of the co-hosts, Richard Brown, and today we're going to be talking about juvenile sentencing and the death sentence, whether or not we should factor age in for certain crimes that would cause someone to possibly get the death penalty. Here we have a pretty large group with us today. We got Krystle in the house. Krystle, say what up.
Hello.
We got Simone, a.k.a. Moon.
Hey. Oh, you were going to tell me to say
say hello. Felt like it was insinuated. And then also in the room today, we got Thomas John. Thomas John, say what up.
What up? The host is still here.
Just barely, though. We're going to probably kill him off here pretty soon.
All right.
It'll become Krystle's show, probably.
Probably.
Look, FYI, because Rich always tries to do this, my shit is not left for you in my will at all. So don't think like you're getting the guns.
You're not leaving me even one?
I contemplated maybe giving you one of my pistols that I really don't care for like a wedding present, but I might be taking that back now.
Oh, that makes me sad.
I'll take it. I've been nice to you.
How dare you? I'm always nice to him.
Go on.
All right, so we're here. It's a lovely night here in California. I'm sure we're all paying high taxes, but
Can I hear you say this like talking to NPR voice?
What's the NPR voice?
Oh,
What? Today you're watching.
Hello.
my views.
Today we're talking Your Views, My Facts.
No, you don't have the
It's
voice
not
for it.
good.
I don't got the
That's okay. That's fine. I was
Look,
curious.
I don't have the liberal media voice. It's all right.
Besides, you just stole that from Rob and Don or whatever the fucking show is.
What?
And nobody.
Do that too. Rob, anybody and Don do the NPR voice all the time.
Do they?
Oh, do that?
They do.
Oh.
So
It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
I actually didn't do it. TJ put me on the spot to try to do it, so it wasn't.
Do you
like,
think they try to
I
sound
feel
that
like
way?
Simone
Oh,
put you
Simone
on the
did.
spot to
Oh.
do that.
I didn't say
got
shit
you.
about it. Thank you.
I got you. It was Simone.
It was me. I would ask TJ the same thing though. Let's hear it.
He probably could.
Well, here we are today. We're going to be looking at the next story, and the story is juvenile sentencing.
That's perfect.
That is good.
That was pretty good.
Of course. I've been told many times I have a radio voice, so I can bounce
also-
around to different
Can
levels.
you believe I've heard viewers actually say they have to only listen to some of this at one time because they can't take too much of the TJ voice?
Fuck them.
Who said that? I can't remember who told us
Oh,
that.
I thought you were kidding.
No. Someone told us that, and I was like, that sounds offensive. And
It's
they-
probably not his voice. It's probably because they know him. And then they have to take a break.
Well, you know what?
Facts hurt, motherfuckers. Facts hurt.
Facts do hurt.
You know what? He's our asshole. So if you guys are listening, you probably
I have my
know
own
him,
asshole,
So.
so he's not mine.
All right. So
I don't think I'm that bad.
I don't think you're that bad either. You know.
You're
I'm a little bit of abrasive. What would I be, like a 0 on a wool?
You take some getting used to.
Okay, I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But I'm not full of shit. That's the thing, right? Like that. Oh, you think I am?
No.
Okay. Well, that's where I live, and
Not
it's
all
like,
the time.
look, I'm not crazy. I speak truth. I cite references. I let you know why you're wrong. Why do people hate me for that?
You know, some people don't like the truth.
Apparently, the truth is out there.
But some people think their opinions are
Are
facts. And then you tell them they're wrong.
Not only do I tell them, I specifically show them with
Right.
sources.
They're not facts. They're
I think
just
that
opinions. and
that's what
you
was
need to know
so
the
liberating
difference.
about the last podcast. Because I don't think you relayed very many facts on the last podcast we did on serial killers. It was all opinion based, wasn't it?
A lot of us, I don't think any of us really had any
Well,
a
luckily,
good background.
Yeah. No.
Or
I haven't done enough killing yet
Which-
to understand serial
which-
killing. You know.
which is fine because this podcast, right, can revolve around debates, discussions, and interviews with nothing off limits. So our serial killers episode, which I believe is what you're referencing,
Yep.
was just a discussion.
I know. I dig it.
But you know what? Just because I didn't give any facts, all right, doesn't mean that I was spewing bullshit.
Yeah. I
So,
don't think you were.
so I got a question actually to pose to the three of you, and it's around the fact that if you know someone is incorrect, do you feel inclined, or are there times where you just choose not to tell them that they're incorrect? Like, at one point, do you need to keep your mouth shut, and then at other times, are you authorized to tell them that they may not be correct? Is there a time and place?
There usually is. I'm not great at that. I will usually almost immediately let somebody know. But then you also have people you've tried to help, and they're beyond it. So you just let them talk and walk away.
What about you, Simone?
I mean, yeah, time and place,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, if I don't like them, I'm not going to tell them that they're wrong.
Like, it's hard. Sometimes it's difficult in the job that we do to not call out somebody who I mean, do we talk about rank in here? Do we talk that we're military? Do we do that? I don't know.
Military.
Okay, so like,
Yeah, we're military.
I try very hard when there's some people you have to work with. You don't have respect for these people, but they are all master sergeants. You're in your room full of airmen where you kind of need to pull them aside and tell them instead of doing it in front of everybody. I'm working on that. It's in my position. You have to sort of pick and choose sometimes, but other times you need people to know that what is being said is wrong, because you don't want somebody leaving that room with bad information as well. So, but there is a way to do it,
Tactfully.
tactfully. I'm not great at that. I've, trying to get better at that. But
What about you, TJ?
If it will not be a detriment to others, and it will not waste my time, let me rephrase that. If it will be a detriment to others, then I will always speak up and let them know where they're wrong.
yeah,
If it's going to be detriment to others and waste my time, I will still speak up, because I still think those other people need to know what's happening. If it won't be a detriment to others, but it's going to waste my time, I'm walking away, and I'm just going to let you continue living your life,
That makes sense.
because I'm not going to get caught up in a battle with somebody, because inevitably, right, like, they just won't want to hear it, and
that's what I was saying.
and they'll just start walking away. Yeah,
There's some people you're just wasting time by even trying
yeah.
to.
So,
All right, whatever.
not to make this a political podcast, but I got this story, short story. So it's 2015 primary season, and I'm a Republican, if people don't know by now. But
Okay. GOP.
Simone and I are actually vacationing at this point in Mendocino, California. So just the northern coast, about 2 hours north of Sacramento. About 3 hours, huh?
Yeah.
And so we entered, and she looks uncomfortable just listening
This was
to
the
this.
worst experience of my life.
Well, hang on. So for those of you,
It was, okay, not the
So
my
Simone
life.
does not like to ruffle feathers. Like, if I'm going to Los Angeles, she tells me not to wear like my Reagan Bush shirt. Like,
No, I don't tell you not to.
you recommend.
I
not to.
recommend. I recommend.
So I like ruffling feathers because that's just who I am. But I want her to be happy, so I normally don't. It's not really a detriment to me. I have hundreds of other shirts to wear, right? So it doesn't really matter.
Hundreds.
No, I'm pretty good about getting rid of clothes, right? No, I'm pretty good at donating or
You probably
tossing.
have, what, 47?
I think 43.
Maybe
was more accurate.
17,
Okay.
76.
Anyways, keep going.
So we're there. When we end up going to this bar, we're having a couple drinks, and we order food. And by the way, right in front of this bar, you have this gigantic Bernie Sanders life-size poster or like poster board, and people are handing out like, the little bumper stickers, and they're handing out like little badges for people to wear and whatnot. And this town was really, really heavy Bernie. Little did they know it was rigged, so he never had a chance to begin with. But that's neither here nor there. So this dude at the bar, or this dude sitting and eating, he's talking about Donald Trump declaring bankruptcy, right? And he's like, why would anybody want this guy for business? He's declared bankruptcy, yada yada yada. And he's like, what a joke. Now for me, I feel
He said he's pulling a Trump.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
And
right.
then
he coined the phrase. He's pulling a Trump because he was saying his friend was declaring bankruptcy, like personal bankruptcy. And for me, there's two. It's a twofold. For one, if you say something incorrect, I'm going to correct you. Like I just naturally have to, especially when it comes to civics, or in this case, economics and tax code. The other thing is, I feel like if I was saying something incorrect, I would rather somebody tell me than me continue saying something fucking stupid.
But for me, I think it was just kind of like a figure of speech kind of thing. Like he didn't literally.
But it was an incorrect figure of speech.
Yeah. Well, for one, it was a conversation we were not involved in. So that was the biggest thing. Like their backs against us. They were talking. We had no. You had no plan. Oh,
In a
felt
bar,
like,
though.
I will attest that you do well when somebody tells you you're wrong. I may have had to do it several times.
Yeah.
Knowing you
Yeah.
over the years.
Well, this
do take it
conversation
well.
ended with the dude was like, "I don't want to fucking talk to you.
Well,
You should leave."
Well, that's how liberals are.
Well, he started talking about, but then everything started branching out to walls being built and stuff.
everything's
like
fine as long as you agree with them.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
So,
right if you agree with them.
so I simply stated that using the term, what was the term? You were pretty
that. Pulling a Trump.
Pulling a Trump. I let them know, actually, for most tax codes, that if you purchase businesses, oftentimes declaring bankruptcy is the most economically effective way to pull money from a business that's failing. Mm-hmm. And declaring bankruptcy from a business title is far different than you personally declaring bankruptcy. So the term is incorrect and stupid without me saying that it was stupid. I said it was incorrect. And then he went on to basically, somebody was like, well, you're a minority. Like, why would you support the Republican Party? So I'm like, well,
Ignorance.
exactly. So I said my piece, I told them at the time I didn't really want the federal government to spend money on a wall, which has changed since then. But
And then you start talking about they need to pick up all the immigrants and bust them away. And I was like, literally, there's this.
I did say that.
He was telling this to a Native American dude just sitting there.
well, I think I said it.
Seething at this point.
I think I said it a little bit cleaner than that. I said, well, technically they are here illegally, right? They are already in violation of the law. So if they're going to be deported, they're going to be deported. I also highlighted that the lovely President Obama that liberals love deported many of folks. All right. So it's hypocritical to point fingers just at Trump saying that he'd like to do this.
We could go all day.
Yeah. So needless to say,
On that.
they get angry. And then as we leave this bar, Simone is very angry with me.
Well, I'm just saying, okay, you can correct someone. There was a time and place. We are the 1% of the 99% that are liberal, right? This was our time. It was Valentine's Day, just time to relax. Why did you, like, for me, I'm like, that just,
So my question is,
time and place. You could correct someone, but I was like, dude.
Not to mention you were wasting your time.
that's
that
true.
too.
You were 100%
That too.
wasting your time
Exactly.
trying to reason with a liberal.
So
Not
so
gonna
that
happen.
that's what frustrated me. It's just like now you want to, and so now like could have been in a fight. That's all.
Yeah, they just don't fucking get it.
They get so angry too, especially when you start throwing numbers out and facts.
I was
They
watching.
don't want to get it.
No, I understand that, but I was just watching the news Sunday or Saturday, whenever the hell it was, and anyways, all the other Trump was off on his Asian Pacific trip, and he was in Vietnam or wherever the fuck he was, the Philippines or whatever. What the major news networks other than Fox News decided to show was the clip of Trump dumping the entire box of fish food into the koi pond, and they said, can you believe it, right? Just making the fish fat or whatever fucking, like, who cares, they're fish, whatever, right? Basically saying that he's a piece of shit. Okay, how could he be doing this? What they neglected to show,
Fake
though,
news.
it was, because what they neglected to show was the full clip to where it has Trump and
the prime minister of Japan.
All right, Japan, sure, where Trump first used the actual like spoon that was given to him to dump some of the fish food, and what does the Japan fucking prime minister do? He dumps the entire fucking little wooden box of fish food. So then what does Trump do? Well, I'm not going to use the spoon anymore. I guess I'm supposed to dump this entire box. Boom, dumped it in. But this is what people just suck on to, is that they do not realize that what they're being shown is omissions of the truth, which is lying. Lying by omission is still lying.
Yeah,
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
Whatever.
Correct.
And
So-
so and for me, if they're going to do it with fish food, you don't think that they're going to do it with anything else?
They've done it with a
That-
lot of other statements.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, like if they're willing to do it with fish food, what fucking sect of people are you going after to get them pissed about fish food?
The left. So no,
The,
so
the
so
media. The media.
yes. Well, no. The media is doing that to rile the left up. Like the media.
Yeah, yeah, but I feel like it happens on both sides.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no. Any listeners out there? Show me a time where the Fox News has not shown then an entire clip or has explained a situation incorrectly.
I mean, it's all agenda driven for sure. Like none of us can deny that.
You can have an agenda,
But
right?
still be honest.
and you can report something, right, to have it fill your narrative, but to not show the entire clip and then make that right fit into what you want your viewers to believe.
we don't
that's
have to
bullshit.
make shit up
Yeah,
to
that's
show
true.
how stupid they are.
That's
So the
We
point.
just spill
Yes.
the facts, and then we take that as all right. That was
So to
Typical
get
shit.
to
Yep.
get out of the political spectrum, though,
Good.
is there ever a time
yeah.
to not tell somebody if they're incorrect or to correct somebody? Like, do you just say, you know what, it's not worth it, or is it just like, hey, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, so
Well-
I'm not going to tell them that they're wrong?
Well, with the exception of what, at least what Krystle and Simone said and what I said, the only other time is when I think it's going to be then a issue with my life, because there are some people that will just go nuts and will want to, and probably want to just kill me. So I'm just like, I'm not even gonna get into it with you then. But otherwise, yeah. I'll at least in a lighthearted way start going down the conversation of what exactly do you mean, and just trying to like pry at them. But once I feel that it is a losing conversation because they just won't listen. All right, fair enough. And it's not even the fact of you listening, right? Like saying that, oh well, TJ's right or Krystle's right or Simone's right, but it's just listening. At least listen to what like the other person has to say, and if you can then take that and still say, well, look, I still believe in my heart of hearts that a regular Joe should not have a firearm. Okay, fine, right? Like that is a fundamental difference in between you and I, right? You're not wrong in your thought, but that's not the way I think. But at least you heard my case for why I want firearms.
Fair
So
enough.
anywho,
All right, so getting into the topic of this podcast.
fuck you, juveniles.
So, give you guys a quick background. So, clearly, drinking age, voting age has changed in America. It used to be, obviously, for drinking age, the states would set a drinking age, and then federally now, you have to be 21 years old for the most part. States have certain laws, like Texas. You can drink at any age if you're with your parent or legal guardian, etc., right? Voting age initially was older than 21, and now it's 18 years old. So, different things that change that determine America's thought process on what's considered an adult and what is not considered an adult. But with that said, there's a landmark Supreme Court case which is called Roper versus Simmons, and this particular case was in 2005, and it's considered a Supreme Court landmark decision where basically this 16-year-old had committed an act of murder, like a very heinous act of murder, and the state had decided that they wanted to try the kid as an adult because obviously committing the act of murder and it being premeditated and gruesome, it seemed like an adult thing to do. And basically it got to the appeals courts. The appeals court also agreed that the death penalty should be allowed to be enforced. It made its way to the Supreme Court in 2005. And in 2005, the Supreme Court actually held that it was unconstitutional to impose capital punishment, such as the death penalty, for crimes committed for people under the age of 18.
How did he murder this individual?
I can look it up.
I feel like in the manner of how he killed that person
Well,
should
it
be
wasn't
factored
All
in.
right. Well,
Self-defense.
well.
I mean,
It wasn't self-defense,
Yeah.
which is the
So
only...
Simmons.
But I feel like that adds to the case. Like if he just went stab, 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 or like
okay.
meticulously cut his arms off and torture, and then I'd be
ate
like,
him.
So
yeah.
so Simmons is the guy that they were trying to obviously use capital punishment again. Him and two of his friends concocted a plan to murder Shirley Kroc. Initially, they were planning to make it seem like they were committing a burglary, to make it seem like they weren't trying to murder them. So they want to make it look like a burglary that had went wrong, and then basically they murdered her and they videotaped murdering her. They had tied her up, and then at some point after murdering her, they tossed her body off the bridge. They had driven it to a local bridge, tossed it off, and made it seem like there was a burglary and whatnot. So there's premeditation, there's thought behind it, trying to cover it up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So my question is, Simmons was 17, and the two kids that aided were 16 years old. I mean, how do we feel? Like, I at least for me, anything premeditated like this, at 16, 17, I feel like you know what you're doing at that point.
And plus, if they're sent to jail, like what are the chances that they'd be rehabilitated?
Okay.
That's a very important question, I think.
Well, first, what I would want to address is sentencing a juvenile as an adult is different than where they're going to go, because obviously I would argue that if you are 14 years old, you're sentenced as an adult, you going to a federal penitentiary, right, is probably not going to be good for you.
No.
But I don't care where the fuck you go. The sentence, right, the punishment will fit the crime. And I think the one thing that needs to be determined then when you're talking about juvenile sentencing is does the adolescent, does the juvenile know the crime, right, that they did, right, in what that it could hold to them. So in my case in point for this would be, you can normally take a 6, 7, 8-year-old, right? They have their little pet goldfish or
Oscar.
yeah, or whatever those. What are the fish at the Walmart? No, like the little the
Betta fish?
beta fish. Thanks. Tetris fish. Anywho,
You fit them in blocks.
yeah, when they die, right? Like, okay, you're gonna throw them into the toilet or whatever you're doing, right? As the adult, doesn't the kid normally know like it's dead, right? I mean, the kid is normally aware like it ain't coming
Yes.
back.
Yeah.
I mean, I
It
don't know
is-
if they understand. Like, I don't know if they comprehend like death at 6 or 7 years old. You know what I mean? Like, I know for sure, like at 6, 7 years old, I didn't comprehend like death as like an adult comprehends. Like, this is forever. Like, this fish is not coming back.
Well,
I did. I lost a cat, and it was.
yeah,
I know it's dead. It's not coming back.
You knew at 6 years old, like you understood
Yeah.
like the loss. You felt the loss. Where you
no. Yeah, but now you're going into more. I think you're getting into further feelings with that. I mean, it's just the basic premise. Like that is not coming back. You may not comprehend the full loss of it, but that animal, that loved one, is not coming back.
Okay.
Go to any funeral with a little kid, they get it. And by little kid, I mean a kid that like their grandparent, right, had passed away. That kid knows the grandparent's not coming back. They just know.
So what are you getting at?
So what I'm getting at is that when you understand that even at a very young age, most individuals, right, can comprehend what life and death is, right? That is just an instilled. You are born with that comprehension. Even kind of going back to when we were doing our little serial killer episode, they might be fucked up. They still know they're killing them. They know that. I mean, it's death. So,
But they have no empathy. They don't.
True.
I feel like with serial killer, they don't.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, I would agree with you. But that to me is a secondary symptom of what we're trying to, or secondary question on what we're trying to get to then, which is, all right, you have no empathy or you have no sympathy. For listeners, if you don't know the difference between them, look it up. There's a difference between empathy and sympathy. But the fact that you don't care doesn't mean that you still do not know, A, that what you are about to do is a crime according to our penal code. And number two, right, what they also look at is, did you have the did you have like the criminal intent, the mind to do something?
Well, in this case, they did.
They knew they were trying to set it up as a burglary gone wrong. So
Right.
they knew
Yeah.
that it was wrong.
Right. So all I'm trying to argue then is that you, even at a very young age, you know life and death, and you know, I'm just saying, right and wrong, good versus evil. You know it, and this is why I brought up serial killers. Even they know that they're evil. They at least know there's an addiction there. They know something's wrong, but they still got to do it.
So you think they should be charged?
I
as an
think
adult?
they should still be sentenced as adults, but that's what. Yes.
So is there an age like 10 and up? They should like if he was 10 years old. Do you think they should be tried as an adult? I'm just curious because
can I provide clarity real quick on the case a little bit more? So I had said one thing incorrectly. What ended up happening is they did not videotape the murder. Once he was caught, so he was caught actually throwing the body over the bridge. Like he was caught in the act of throwing the body over a state bridge. And then he confessed to all of it. And when he confessed and said that him and his friends were involved in it, they were like, hey, like, you know, like you're explaining this on paper. And he's like, I can act it out for you. So they had him, the state had him like record a video doing the acts, you know, right? Like basically they had a fake body. They showed everything. Basically, they recorded him committing the acts. Yeah, reenacting it.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Does it change if they were 10 and 11 years old for you, TJ? Based off the fact that you're like everyone. I mean,
yeah.
You know the difference between life and death. So.
Could you sentence a 10-year-old to capital punishment?
Oh, could I?
I mean, do you think that's right? Sorry.
Well, yes, I think it's fair. And I think I think everything would be coming out in your, when you're actually in court than on the stand, right? You're going to be going down the questions of, do you know what you did? Tell us about your life growing up, right? Have you ever lost a pet? Have you ever lost a loved one? Yada, yada. You're going to figure it out. You will be able to figure out what the state of mind is for that individual. And, you know, nobody, very few, as in the rare exceptions, right, of individuals that go onto the stand can beat the prosecutor that is coming after them, right? Because these individuals have a whole team behind them, and they've done right. I mean, thousands of cases before them, right? They can pick out single thing that you're about to go wrong on.
I mean, I don't know about a murder case, but actually, more than likely, the defendant actually ends up winning in most cases in the United States. So actually, there are more times that
wait, stop. And I'm stopping you because now I want to know your definition of winning. Because if you want to go down to the letter of the law, which is that there needs to be without a reasonable doubt, which is where the court systems win. So if that's what you're referring to winning, I don't want to hear it. Yes, you are factually correct.
Isn't the show about facts
and views?
Yes, you are factually correct in that statement, in that defendants can win because they will sit there to the jury and say, there must be without a reasonable doubt.
Are you saying that's not how it should be?
I thought the question was, should they be? Like, should they be charged as adults, right?
No, they are. I'm simply trying to provide clarity to this, right? And so what I'm getting at is this was a difficult decision regardless. The Supreme Court ruled 5-4, so it wasn't like a sweeping decision. They chose not to be able to authorize capital punishment, and a lot of the justification was before the age of 18, you can't legally drink without a parental guardian, right? You can't vote. You can't even choose to enter the military without being at least 18 years old unless like a parent consents, right? So that would mean that these individuals before 18 years old are not full adults, which means that they have to be held to a different standard than someone over the age of 18. And that's one of the reasons, that's probably the primary argument that the Supreme Court had. It wasn't about the act itself, but about the individuals not having this. You can't hold the individuals to the same standard if you're not giving them all the same rights.
What was their sentencing?
I said, wait, are you talking about the jury or you're talking about the Supreme Court?
No. Oh, wait. For this individual?
So for this individual, the state jury decided, 12 jurors decided that not only was he guilty, but that he should be allowed to, he should have the death penalty acted against him. Okay. And then,
I mean, where are they at now? Like,
the Supreme Court said no.
The Supreme Court said you cannot put somebody under the age.
So what's their sentencing?
Life in prison.
Life. Okay. Jesus.
Okay. Well,
it's not juvenile hall, prison.
No, prison. Yeah.
So
There's
Like, you're not. I see what I mean. Are you laughing because you're not going to kill him because you want to treat him like an adult, but you're going to send him to an adult prison for life?
right?
So for this,
and what chance do they have to rehabilitate?
Yeah.
When they're around other hardened criminals, teaching them even worse.
no,
I feel like they're around other adult murderers. How are these kids going to be rehabilitated?
no, which is true. So
They won't be. I mean, honestly, it's in their
They're just a waste of money right now.
basically.
So the Supreme Court said that basically the state would have the state, if everything happened and the case, everything wasn't decided until after the kid was already 18 by that point. So the act was committed at 17. The kid turned 18 because it takes forever for the Supreme Court to rule on something, right? So he automatically started serving time in prison because at that point he was an adult. But they're saying you can't retroactively go back and say, hey,
There were 17-year-olds though. He was with two other.
he was with two 16-year-olds.
And he was 17.
Correct.
So when he was 18, they were 17. So
Correct.
Are they in?
I believe I don't know, the case doesn't really cover them. It's about Simmons.
Okay.
Because Simmons is like the primary person that like confessed to everything, and he was like the mastermind behind the murders or murder.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Thanks. Appreciate it. At what point do you get to say, this is a hypothetical here, so please just entertain me. At what point as a human being, let's just take me for example, I'm a male, so I was born. What point do I legally get to say that I'm a female?
Why are we going
Oh, you'll know.
there?
So-
With this?
So to answer
could
your
that-
question, just to go straight to it, right? I don't think
we can't go straight to it. 'Cause she's wondering why I'm going down this road.
Do you have a reason?
Yes, I do.
Is it relevant to the subject?
You goddamn right it is.
Okay, all right.
So you can claim whatever you want at any time, right? Like you can be like an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, because society has told you you can claim whatever your gender is going to be. But you have to be at least 18 years old to to go through any of the process to actually physically change.
Right. So if you haven't figured it out yet, so I can say, fuck science, that I am a female. Age 8, I'm a female. So why not at age 9? You know what? I'm 21 years old. I want to fucking drink.
You're assigning your age as opposed to your gender.
Correct.
Right.
Is that valid? Do you see where
It is valid. Valid.
I'm just asking the question. So if you want to be able to go down that road of saying, boom, this is what I am, then all right. And you people might think that this is crazy now, but I'm telling you, if you can do this with the age, I'm sorry, if you can do it with your sex, then at what point, right? Somebody eventually is going to make the argument saying, I feel like I'm 60 years old. I feel like I'm 21.
Or the opposite. I am a 35-year-old man who feels like a 16-year-old, so I can fuck 15-year-olds.
And you know what? That happens all the time.
Because
under the
I've
guise
identified with a teenager.
Yep. Under the guise of criminally insane, that happens all the time.
So I understand your guys' point of view, right? And I
don't know why I'm getting so heated.
I don't know why either. It's not like
moving. He's shaking.
What I'll say is this, right? You're absolutely right. And that question is obviously made often, right? Like within the court system or within society today when it comes to morality, people are like, hey, it's a slippery slope. Like if you allow this, it's just like, if we're going to be honest, it's no different than in the 1980s when sodomy laws were being questioned and removed when it came to gay couples, right? People were like, this is a slippery slope. Eventually they're going to go at marriage. People were like, no, we're not going to do that. And then obviously in 2015, federally nationalized gay marriage is cool, right? So the slope does happen as far as all it is one thing that shifts a little bit more one way, and then it makes what wasn't acceptable, and everything that was just unacceptable is now slightly reasonable, at least to think about from that perspective. So I do see your point. I don't know, that's a whole nother topic, so I don't want us to get into the transgender, changing your gender, and then the age group. But I see your point. I think what they're getting at is the mindset of the young people, right, that are committing these acts. They're saying they are not developed enough to understand what they are doing completely, or at least the consequences of their actions completely.
Right, them having the guilty mind.
Sure.
I mean, their mind being able to comprehend what they did.
Sure.
Okay. And I still go back to, though, that at a young age, life and death.
Well, let me ask you.
If they didn't know it was wrong, they wouldn't have set up the ruse like it was something else. They knew it was wrong. It was premeditated.
Okay, so here's the scenario where, and I want to know what you guys would do, but this is a true story. There's a toddler. He was about 6 years old. He had a younger brother, I think it was 5 or 4, and the younger brother was the prize child. The parents loved the youngest, dressed him up, showed him off, blah, blah, blah. The older one got jealous, brought his little brother to the woods and murdered him and buried him. And then he went home. He was like, I don't know what happened to him. But then eventually they caught him. He's sentenced to life in prison. What would you do?
How old? Wait, how old?
He was like 6 or 7.
The kid?
He was jealous of his younger brother and killed him.
And the 6-year-old got sentenced to life in prison?
Yeah, he's still in prison. I think maybe he was 8. But I know it was under 10.
I could see 8. I could
Like
see
a
it.
federal penitentiary for adults.
No, well, no.
I don't think so.
They probably went from juvenile.
I
to-
think so. Okay,
Yeah.
at that age.
But
Right.
would you do that? Yes. Life in prison?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, is there's an age limit, right? To
Okay. This goes back to what
That's a good question.
what I had said, and then I'll let Krystle jump in here because it seemed like she had a response as well. But again, the sentencing, I don't think there should be no difference between the sentencing of an individual, right? As long as going through the court process, you can establish that they knew what was going on. So with that, then, of course, I'm not in favor of sending a 14-year-old or a 12-year-old to a federal penitentiary until they hit age 18. And I will just throw this question out here, and then I'm going to let Krystle talk. But if what you did could have gotten you the death penalty, what happens when you hit age 18? So instead of just being transferred over from the juvenile detention to federal penitentiary, does it not go back saying, hey, you know what? We did give you life in prison, but now that is that a secondary sentencing you could throw on there saying
You can't. So, like in the legal system, once you've been sentenced, unless like new crimes come up that weren't expected prior, they can't.
Can you say,
all right, well,
you are sentenced life in prison until you turn 18, and then you're sentenced to death?
No, because in that case, why waste the taxpayer money? Just end the 14-year-old's life.
Because they feel
I
like
agree.
it's more.
I agree.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I'm just curious because you said you're supposed to try this kid despite his age,
Correct.
right? Let's say he didn't kill just his brother, but multiple young kids.
Yeah.
Would you be okay with giving him the death penalty?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just curious.
I mean, so I'm wondering where it ends though, real quick, because if we're talking murder, right? Like I think it's pretty universal that murder is wrong, right? But excluding that, I mean, we can agree that most kids under the age of 18 don't know shit about the laws, right? We can say there are people over the age.
I mean, with social media, with movies, with all of that, you know that murder is wrong.
No. I'm saying excluding murder. Let's not look at murder, but look at other crimes. Like, can you sentence for other things? Like, for instance, if a 14-year-old punches an adult in the face, should the kid be sentenced for battery?
Yeah, but you're not.
I mean, no. I'm saying, does the kid know that, like, as an adult, punching somebody is not acceptable? Because when you're a kid, you get into fights with other kids,
And then
hopefully
you're taught that is wrong.
Well, a lot of kids are
parents' jobs.
A lot of kids are told self-defense, right, to fight back. But in the same sense, some people were told, like, you don't let somebody talk to you in certain ways. It's just the way you're brought up. What I'm saying is not looking at it just simply for murder. Can we say a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old should be punished with battery or assault?
Can we say?
Should we?
I think you can. And then it's up to the case as to whether they did it for self-defense or whatever. And then the case would be dropped.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know how many kids would now be locked up then for
Absolutely.
getting into fights?
I know,
Yeah,
but like
that's-
with adults?
Like even with adults.
I mean, I feel like if a kid's punching an adult,
What if it's a stepdad that's been abusive?
That's what I mean.
But who's going to believe that?
the jury would believe if a kid is punching
The
a kid.
jury-
There's no. I don't think if two 14-year-olds get in a fight at school, they're not going to court.
Oh, no, I don't.
So I don't know where this would.
I'm thinking of a scenario as with
Yeah.
like a kid and an adult.
Yeah, and
But you're talking about like
I'm saying
I don't think so. I think
2000. Look, I want to throw this out there that for murder and non-negligent manslaughter, okay, which means that you knew what you were doing with the manslaughter, okay, and rape in 2016 147,000 cases. I'm sorry, closer to 400,000 total. So, in the big scheme of things, there aren't that many. Yeah. And now those numbers that was from the FBI website, the statistics of 2016. But anyways, that does not include those under 18. But I'm saying there ain't that many adults being tried for it. You can throw us a few kids in there because they're the rare exception. They're the ones that are fucked up that end up becoming serial killers.
So what do you think? Well, I guess, Krystle, you did want to...
I did have an opinion on the 6-year-old that I think that... I don't know that the 6-year-old fully understood what he was doing to his brother. He just knew that... My sister put a pillow over my face when I was a baby, and she was 4. And my mom came in and found her trying... I don't know. She thought she was trying to kill me because my sister was the only child for 4 years, and then I was born. Mm-hmm. So, but she spanked her and obviously didn't kill me. I mean, never did it again.
Yeah.
So I feel like the 6-year-old maybe like, and I hate to go to this because I hate like you see movies, video games, and all this. I don't like to blame those types of things, but this kid may not have known. He just like, maybe if I just do this, my brother goes away, but I don't comprehend that murder is bad because I'm 6.
I believe it. I definitely believe it.
Yeah. So I don't know if that child couldn't be rehabilitated in some way. So, but I mean, life in prison without possibility of parole, or was there possibility of parole for the child?
Ooh, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. So,
what do you think as far as that case goes? Is the kid too young at that point to sentence to life in prison?
I mean, I agree with Krystle. The kid might not know. He was like, "Oh, cool, that's one less problem. My bro's gone. Sweet, it's all about me."
Like that dog used to like lick me all the time, and I hated it, and it died, and I was happy. Now, if my brother's dead, I'll be happy. Like I don't know. It's a 6-year-old. 16-year-olds.
So I'm wondering at what age is it past like rehabilitation, like
recidivism?
What?
Where it's like, how do you avoid somebody coming back to prison?
Or just repeating I guess so. Repeating the crime, or just understanding what they did.
Sure. Again, I can't. Just to make the topic of the episode was, should juveniles be sentenced as adults?
But as being sentenced as an adult would mean a death penalty.
Is 6 years old
some of the
juvenile?
time.
It is.
It is.
Anything under 18.
I know. Hold on.
So like a toddler's a juvenile?
To anybody, anything under 18.
Okay, sorry, just imagined. Sorry.
No, I know. So
15, 18.
Like
can we? All right. So I have already stated that yes, I think they should be sentenced as adults. Mm-hmm. But what we're getting into, which is fine. I'm okay with going down this road on the episode. I just want to make sure that we're clear with the listeners then that now we are arguing, is the court system going to go through the same questioning then, right, for the defendant or the accused? Because that's when you're saying that, okay, yeah, your sister would have been thrown up on God forbid, right, something would have happened to you then at that age. You wouldn't even be here, so we wouldn't have this podcast now episode. But
you would. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't be here.
The
Well, maybe
whole time continuum would have
I never would have met you. Yeah, years
Time,
ago.
space continuum.
Yeah, who knows what?
I mean, the world would be a terrible place.
She would have been. Your sister would have been thrown up onto the stand, and the questions would have been asked, right,
To
and
a
going through.
4-year-old. To a 4-year-old.
Oh, who was 6?
That kid was 6.
No,
My
that
sister
was-
was 4,
yeah.
and I had just been born.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, you were an infant?
I was.
Oh my god.
Okay, so even that's my point, right? That
And
4
she's not a murderer now.
So that 4-year-old is going to be on there, right? And they're going to find that the 4-year-old, right, clearly had no absolute clue what the hell was going on. Mm-hmm. So guess what? The whole point then for me of being sentenced as an adult, that's never coming into play because there will be no sentencing. That's where I stand.
Right,
so
right.
all I'm saying then is that should juveniles be sentenced as adults? Yup, as in the court system should treat them just the same as anybody else. Because when you get the 4-year-old on the stand, hey, can you pronounce your last name for me? Right, like Schleb. Yeah. Okay. No, that's wrong.
So, but here's the problem with that though. You're not gonna. It's never gonna get to that point because just bringing a 4-year-old to trial would be costly.
No, true.
You know,
True, but okay,
costly
So-
to the state.
I know we're going off extremes here. So
Yeah.
now we can go to our 17-year-old.
Well, here,
who's
let me-
right underneath.
Let me throw another story out. So in Rockland, actually, just recently, and when I say recently, within the last year,
Rockland, California.
Rockland, California, there was it's an awful case, to be honest with you. I got into a very big argument in class about it, but there was a 12-year-old African American boy who had not basically he had come from a broken household. His mom was a crackhead, and he never knew his dad, so he was adopted out actually to a white family in Rockland. And and the reason I know this is I can't remember if he's a Sacramento DA or basically the dad that adopted the kid does district attorney work, either as an assistant to or is the district attorney either in Sac or Rockland. White DA with a young daughter. He was warned early from like a psychiatrist, like, hey, this kid is slightly unstable in certain aspects. He's going to need to get like mental health, and I don't recommend you leaving like your children alone with him, right? And so he adopted him for a couple months or whatever. And at some point, like the kid seemed normal, so he's like, oh, must not be an issue. The kid ended up killing the daughter. Like the dude's daughter ended up actually carving her up. So this 12-year-old ended up carving her up into multiple pieces with like a kitchen knife, basically.
Oh, I thought you were going to give it like a shape carving. Like
No. Like, I mean, started chopping off parts of her or whatever, and in the backyard, and that was sort of it for that. And so the kid ended up, obviously, they tried him, and he ended up he was basically mentally like not stable and insane. So he's in a psychiatric ward, but he's not sentenced to life in prison or anything. He's at a mental ward until he can be deemed as not crazy, and then if he's not crazy, they'll let him out.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is
But his case is totally different because he's insane.
But what I'm saying is like, can't we argue that some 11-year-old, 12-year-olds would fall under like not insanity, but just not having the comprehension of what they're doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Completely agree with you.
So at what age is it appropriate for a heinous act to be tried? As far as like, hey, like we should push for the death penalty.
Yeah, age 1.
Age 1.
Age born until you.
I would try Chucky as an adult. So he's a doll now.
Chucky. Just leave it. Rich is getting upset
The
because
carpets are fucked anyway.
Yeah, a little bit of beer spilled
It's
due to a
the
dog.
carpet is beer colored, so
Yeah.
you're in good
Yeah,
shape.
just let Caliber drink the beer, and it won't be there anymore. All right. So anyway, yeah, from the moment that you have been, what word am I looking for? Inception to whatever,
Conceived.
right? Conceived. Thank you. Conception.
Inception.
Inception.
Whatever. Right is where you will be thrown onto trial.
Right.
And then, again, through the court system, it will be figured out.
But don't you think that's a waste of the court system's time for certain age groups?
I think a waste of my time is life in prison. I just want the death penalty.
So in that case, then why even sentence anybody under the age of 18 to life in prison? If they're going to get life, why not? I mean, I guess you could argue that about
Correct.
anybody, but...
Yeah. No, which I already said. If they can prove throughout the court system... All right, what you need to take away, right, from your current train of thought is that there is no longer such a thing as a juvenile. Juvenile does not exist. It's just you're born, you die. Everything else in between it is what it is. So you will be asked through the court system, do you know what happened?
What do you guys think of that?
Am I crazy with that thought? Like, am I not being clear?
No, I mean that's been your stance since the beginning. So I mean, I see what.
Yeah,
you're
no,
saying.
but Rich is. I mean,
I just think it's a little extreme because I think in certain age brackets or just... I just don't think they comprehend it. So I think off the bat they wouldn't go to trial. Like I don't think you could theoretically sentence somebody in America to death before the age of at least 15. Like for me, it would have to be like 15 or older because at that point I'm like, okay, you're in high school, you've served a year in high school, you understand a little bit of something, because I actually find most people before high school to be pretty fucking stupid because they haven't learned
So now
anything
you-
past grammar school.
Yeah.
So
So your holdup is now creating a backlog in the court system.
there's already a.
So what would you-
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what do you do with the 6-year-old then? In that case,
You sentence them to like a mental institution to be worked on.
and who makes that decision?
The court.
So
I mean,
they-
or I guess not even the court. The state can just determine it like off the bat. Like the minute somebody's like, "Yep, this fucking kid's dead."
So he's arrested.
And what
okay.
if sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to know the process here. So he's arrested, and then they bring it up to.
So no matter what an investigation happens, right? Because
Yeah.
anytime somebody's dead, you're going to have some sort of investigation, and after the investigation's completed, they're going to ensure that it's not a parent that killed off the kid. They're like, nope, it's definitely Susie. Susie killed Adam because he's a fucking asshole, and she hated him, and he colored on his wall, like, whatever, right? And they're going to be like, okay, Susie is this old. Clearly, like, we're not going to sentence her to death. We're not
So
going
the
to give
kid will never get a lawyer to defend.
What defense does the kid have?
I'm just saying, like, there's one investigation going on, and they're like, oh, well, it's not the parents. It must be you.
No. What I'm saying is there's an investigation that is happening, right? And I'm not saying that we're gonna halt investigations. I'm saying if the investigation finds that we have evidence that the kid did it, or if the kid admits to it, because a lot
What if
of
he didn't? What if he didn't?
Well, that's I don't know because
See, that's what I'm saying.
they find most people under the age of like 12 that commit like terrible things. They're like they didn't know and they admit to it. They're like, we didn't know. I didn't know my sister would suffocate underneath the pillow. Like they end up admitting to it because their minds don't comprehend how to properly lie, so they're not going to get away with it, right? And in that case, I don't think you can sentence a 12-year-old to life in prison, right? I don't think you can say unless it's literally like some jigsaw shit or like they.
Why does it have to be life though? Or is that?
Well, no, I mean, theoretically, like, it's a life for a life, right? Whether it's the capital punishment or you serving time in prison. Like, if you kill somebody, unless they can prove, like... And actually...
There's plenty of people who've murdered and spent, like, 16, 20 years in jail.
And that depends on, like, how they get them. And that is true for juveniles. Juveniles normally don't get life, right? They'll get, like, 8 years.
They can
Right.
appeal.
I guess ultimately,
There's
I
parole possibilities.
can't see how it would work without a court.
I'm not saying that there wouldn't be a court. I'm saying that, like, before a certain age, you cannot do capital punishment. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
capital punishment would not be allowed before 15. The Supreme Court calls it 18, but I think at 15, if you commit a murder and it's premeditated, you know better. You know what I mean? So you
14, you don't though.
I mean, I don't know. What do you? So you guys legitimately think that we should be able to punish a 14-year-old with execution?
Well, the point is, or at least
I'm at conception.
Just abort them out then?
the case. Let the
If they
let
do
the
something
trial.
wrong.
You said in conception.
I mean, look, if the little kid, right, if the kid in the womb punches through the stomach and hits the steering wheel and then right the mother,
Now you're getting
I know.
ridiculous.
I know I was.
Okay,
It
so
was- I was trying to-
seriously, like, at what point should capital punishment be authorized?
I don't fucking know.
Okay, all I'm trying to say is
it's tough because it's case by case.
Yeah.
too,
Sure,
and
sure,
Yeah.
sure. Which is why
I don't think they're ever going to put a juvenile to death.
Okay,
Have they? I don't know.
my
don't
answer
think they
and
have.
my answer
No.
is that you're asking me to put a point, and I'm saying there is no point. So from the moment
Yeah.
you're born, right, the case will be tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
And-
capital
and
punishment on the table.
If it fits the fucking crime,
No one has the balls to kill a juvenile. Though.
Is
I do.
No, well, you don't have the authority to.
I should.
Simone, what do you think?
I'm not. I didn't say I'm just going to go kill a kid. By the way, I'm just saying if they kill somebody else.
I don't know. That's what I was trying to figure out with this podcast. Like,
This is
what?
tough, right?
Are you saying like over time, no murderer has ever rehabilitated?
Murderers. Well,
No,
they
no.
rehabilitated, but they're already in life in prison, so they're not getting.
No, that's not true. There have been people that committed acts of murder before the age of 18 that get out early, right?
Yeah.
There are even murderers who obviously they get tried, they get a lower level of murder, so they don't get life, or the circumstances allow the jury to say, "Hey, we don't think this person should get life" when it comes to sentencing, and so they end up going to jail for 25 years with the chance of parole at 15 years. and they get out, and some of them are perfectly normal. The problem is there's such a high rate of return in prison.
You know why? Because they get institutionalized within the jail system.
I mean, I'm sure that's some of it.
They're not committing crimes while in prison as well.
Correct.
Yeah, but I believe there is a chance for rehabilitation. I don't know what the percentage is.
You think for murder there is?
Yeah, I do.
You could be sorry for what you did.
Sure.
20 years later, when you were 14. Mm-hmm. You're 34.
I don't know.
You're like, I was a kid. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah. Which would hold to not allowing capital punishment then on a 14-year-old.
Well, that's not the conversation.
I mean, that is. What we're saying is like at 14, I don't think they should be punished with capital punishment. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think at like 16, we can say this. If you're approaching almost close to 18 and you're like, yep, I'm gonna literally tie this girl up. I'm gonna drag her to this empty cabin and I'm gonna kill her, right?
What is approaching?
16, 17 at least, right? Because you're like 2 years away, like.
But I go back to what Simone made a comment earlier, but at 15, you don't understand that.
I don't know, and I guess that is where the court would decide for a certain age bracket.
So can it, right, so conception.
No, I mean.
At 12 years old, you could be on the stand and you will go through, right, the questions and answers, and you will have all your therapists, your psychologists, your prosecution, the defense. They will ask the questions and they will find out, are you of a sane mind? Yes, you are. Okay, so you know that you killed a life. Yep. I took the knife, put it right through that 24-year-old's heart.
Yeah.
Because I did not like them and I wanted them to die. I did not want them to be on this earth at all.
Or,
okay.
Yeah. Or no, they're insane, so send them to an insane.
Right.
I feel like that would happen more. Like the defense would definitely try to.
Yeah.
And,
well, for the record, I do not like the insanity defense. But anywho, so that being the case, then, all right. So the 14-year-old just in my example just proved to everybody that they are of a sane mind and they wanted to kill this person. Okay, guess what? We will now sentence you to death. And then you can ask them, do you understand what that means? Yep, that means you're going to put me in an electric chair.
Okay,
goodbye.
So TJ, years from now, you have a 16-year-old son.
Yeah.
All right. Your son gets so pissed at this kid that he decides to drive his car straight into this kid, kills him instantly, right?
Crime of passion.
Yeah. Oh.
It wasn't premeditated.
Okay. He decides to roll into the house. He takes one of your pistols and he kills this kid.
Okay.
Right? He's like, fuck this kid. I don't like him. He's been talking a lot of shit. I'm going to end his life real quick.
Okay.
Right? At 16, are you cool with your son being put to death?
I don't think you would. Can you even process that since you don't even have kids yet? How you would feel about your child?
You know you want them though.
Yeah,
you can't.
Yeah.
Ask somebody who has.
Correct.
Ask somebody who has children. You'll get a better answer than asking.
Correct.
TJ
Yeah.
right
To
now.
throw out that disclaimer, yes, I do not have any children. But if I had to sit here and say, then, yep, I would. Well, this is what I'm going to do. All right, I'm going to have no choice. So I'm going to say they're going to go through the court system.
Yep.
You would think you'd be that reasonable, but it's your child.
Yeah. So. Do you think your dad would be like, you know what, TJ was in the right frame of mind. You guys can put him to death. Is that
No. Yeah, but you're making it. You're
I don't think he'd be happy about it.
You're conflating two things. Yeah, it's gonna.
No, but what I'm saying is it acceptable? I guess like. Ideally, if we're going to make this into law, we're going to say, yep, it doesn't matter your age. It just depends on how the courts rule. Are we saying that, like, as a parent, we're okay with if our 16-year-old commits an act of murder, they should, like, before the age of 18, they can be tried for murder, and we're like, hey, we accept that this is the law of the land now.
Well, again, my 2 points that I'm going to leave you with here is that, one, you and everyone else is the one making it about age. So I'm saying that age doesn't need to be the factor here. So you first got to be able to erase your mind of the age issue. Fair?
I mean, I guess that's where we disagree. I think age matters. Right? Because we're saying that before age of 18, they can't consent. People in most states, you can't consent to having sex with somebody above the age of 18 if you're below 18.
But that's only because that's what's been set by other individuals and by the law.
But what I'm saying is naturally we've always set a certain age bracket for consent of anything, right? Or an understanding of anything. I think there's some weight to that, right? I believe that your mind is not fully structured, not fully taught. So, like, how can you be sentenced to the maximum punishment if you do not understand?
Well, that would be brought out of the court system. So you would prove yourself as in your adolescent mind that is not fully developed to be able to comprehend that you will not be able to be sentenced as an adult.
I agree with that. I think a psychologist would be able to ask specific questions to understand where they are mentally, and then they can make a decision.
But you agree, yeah. So you would agree though that there are at least younger individuals that do have the mental capacity.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So fine, fair enough. So once that has been answered, so we're saying yes. Then my next question or next point is, can you then agree? Right? Then are you then okay with giving that individual the death sentence or capital punishment? Because for me, I'm saying it's just an age. You are now saying that, well, that's an infant, that's a minor, that's a teenager, and I'm saying you got to wash your brain away, wash your mind off of that. And now they are it's
The crime determines it, not the age.
Right? Yeah. It's tough. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that I gave you a fact. I was trying to make it a little bit lighthearted there. Mm-hmm. No, and to be fair, Rich, I see every case that you're making. But that's why I thought Simone and at least Krystle here were able to kind of be the meeting and say there would be psychologists or there would be other individuals within the court system saying your mind's developed or your mind's not. It's nuts, man. Look, if our listeners have a better theory or take on this, leave us a comment on Facebook and let us know what your thoughts are on should juveniles be sentenced as adults, and maybe we'll be able to do a part 2 on this.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, Krystle, it's been a pleasure again having you in the den. We call this the den.
Den, yes. It's been fun.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
Snakes, vipers, live in dens.
Got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you were
What is
on.
a group of snakes called?
The gaggle fuck.
Hey Siri, what do you call a group of snakes?
My web search turns something up for what do you call a group of snakes. Have a look.
You suck, Siri.
All right, so you call a group of snakes, you suck, Siri.
Apparently. Anyway, thank you for having me.
It's much appreciated. You are
awesome.
You are welcome anytime if the subject matter suits you. So, and we try to throw it out there for everybody on Facebook to what subjects we're going to do. Go ahead, Simone.
What, final words?
Final words, final thoughts.
In an NPR voice.
Well, that sounded like
I said
Slim Shady voice.
Remember, I set the bar pretty high in the beginning.
I can't.
so.
You did.
Oh, it's hard because I'm not good at just spinning out words. Thank you, TJ, for having me here. The conversation has been very enlightening. There's still some follow-up questions, but we'll save that for a future podcast. Thank you.
You are very welcome. I will go next.
Nobody gets the reference to the group of snakes because we weren't on the air when you had mentioned some raccoons either. So point that out. We weren't on the air.
Yeah.
You haven't found it? Oh. Can I look?
But well, here's the thing, though. The listeners will get it because I had specifically brought that quote up on a previous podcast.
Okay.
So they'll get it.
Okay, they'll get it. All right.
Yeah.
Those loyal listeners.
Those fact checkers out there.
Fact checkers.
And potentially some future Vipers and Vipettes. So, look, I've had a great time again going through this episode as well as our past episodes. I'm obviously thankful to have the three of you as well as the other individuals that have been in the den to do these episodes with me. I always have a great time. Rich, you're an amazing co-host. As well as kind of one of I'll say the host of this specific episode. I started taking over there at the end because I was starting to get pissed and heated and trying to throw out some of my facts. But again, if you want to find us, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, @ViewsandFacts, go to the website. And Rich, Take us out, man.
Well, as Simone looks up what the name of a group of snakes is, but we have human cloning coming up as well as, what was the other subject, Krystle? Human cloning and...
Oh, like designer babies.
Yeah, designer
Like
babies.
Designing your child or picking eye color.
We'll probably
Or
talk...
picking the sex, even like something as simple as picking the sex of your baby. Like, should you be able to do that?
I found it.
Go ahead.
Were you looking it up?
Yeah.
Can you do it in your NPR voice now?
What is a group of snakes called? A group... I fucked up. I
No,
can't.
you're supposed to be like, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are interested, today's topic is a group of snakes. They are commonly referred to as... Oh, my...
Continue.
Okay, thank you. Bed, den, knot, nest, pit, and vipers. Thank you.
The exception to this is a group of rattlesnakes, which is called a Roomba. RHUMBA.
Man, people have those things rolling around their house everywhere.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. That got less funny as we waited for that.
That was true. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, be safe. That's all. So, once again, we're on
Bye.
we're on iTunes, Podbean. We are on.
I feel like if they're already listening, they know where to talk.
Well, we're letting them know that way they
How's
can share. Well, yeah, it's this
To
way
let
they
other people know.
Yeah, to let them know. Hey, man. Yeah,
Look,
iTunes, CastBox, Podbean.
We got old Shiny driving around Vegas playing us to his listeners. You know what I mean? So if you're riding with this dude named Shiny, we apologize for the musky ass smell in the car.
Is he like an Uber?
He is. He
or
does
Lyft?
Uber and Lyft. Look, guys, tip him well. He's really poor. All right, but awesome dude, and he will eat scraps. Like, if you have extra food you're gonna throw away, just feed him.
Oh my god.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening.
Later.
Take care.